All right, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard, and what's that music? It's time to go to Old Town Mariposa with my buddy Bob Borchard from Bet's Gold Coin. Bob, how's it going, sir?
It's going really good, Chuck. How's it going with you?
Things are going better than most, I'm sure.
Can I get an
who did you
update
bring
on
with you today, Bobby?
I brought another old friend of mine. 30 some odd years we've been
approaching
knocking around
40.
together.
You guys were almost young when you first met.
We were just kids. But Sal Macarone.
Sal Macarone, welcome to the Buzz. Nice to have you here.
This is part of our Art and Artist series. And Sal is a pretty well-known artist. In fact, he's probably the most visible artist in Mariposa, because the minute you drive into town, you see Sal's art.
Now, you're talking about the mural that you see
mural.
right when you come into town.
Right.
And Sal, why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, that's a reproduction of an original that happened to burn about a year and a half ago when the whole pizza factory block burned down. And Ron, the owner, commissioned me to repaint that, and it took me about 6 months. It's pretty big. The picture doesn't really show it. Well, that one does. It's made up of 16 4x8 panels, and it measures 32 feet long and 16 feet high.
Wow.
But
Now, that's a mural, but murals aren't really your specialty, are they?
Oh, no.
I want to talk about some of your woodworking, because I saw your book before the show started, and oh my. Let's talk about this. How'd you get into it?
I just sort of eased into it. My father was an amateur woodworker, a hobbyist, if you will, and I was always underneath his feet. And I'd use his tools when he wasn't at home, and I always got caught. But that's where it started. I was about 10 years old.
Where'd you grow up at?
San Jose, Bay Area.
I'm a San Josean myself.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
I went to Willow Glen High School and San Jose State.
Well,
Did you go to Willow Glen?
Well, heck, I played Willow Glen Little League.
Did you really?
I sure
Oh,
did. We can talk about that a little bit more
Okay.
after the show. I can't wait.
In the sports section, huh?
Now, let's talk about your woodworking, though, because looking at your book, you've done some big things in the Sierras, haven't
I've
you?
had some good fortune in terms of clients.
this is a picture of the pizza factory. Anybody gets a
You know, that door is the only thing that survived that fire.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's
the wooden door.
That door survived the fire because they went real quick and pulled it off before the fire reached it. And there was actually a lot of controversy about that. The fire chief was a little mad, I think, but they wanted to save that door.
letting a little bit too much air inside,
Something
maybe,
happened there,
right?
yeah, but
Well,
at any rate, that's the original door. It was probably done about 15 years ago, and what I did was just restore it. It left a little bit of the char marks on it, too, just so that people could see it.
People can remember that fateful day,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And there's the Mariposa Hotel. Sal's family owned the Mariposa Hotel, and he did a major. And you know, as a planner, I was into the visibility of our town and what the appearance is. And Sal has done some amazing. This is a picture coming up here of Sal in front of the restoration of the Mariposa Hotel. But the important part of that is that he changed. You changed the entrance, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was really a challenge. That building hadn't been touched since 1901 when it was built. And basically what I did was I tried to keep the old flavor, but do it a little bit more quality oriented. And I changed the angle of the entrance so it's a little bit more inviting.
You know, Sal, I look at this stuff and I go, well, wait a minute. This just isn't woodworking. This is art.
Well, that's
this
nice.
is preservation of history.
Thank you.
This isn't just normal. Hey, I got a table saw in my garage and I'm going to work on the weekends. This is some big stuff.
Well, thank
now,
you.
I think you're kind of underselling it a little bit.
Well.
I'm around my dad's feet and stuff.
Well, that was when I was 10.
No. I mean, let's talk about some of the stuff in this book, because we're talking about stuff in Mariposa, but you've done stuff around the state, around the country, around the world. I mean, let's talk about some of this big stuff.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, you know, it's just I like to look at my work as utilitarian art. That's the title I put on it. That is useful art. And yes, you know, I've started off right out of college, I began my business, and it eventually ended up in Mariposa when I met Bob, and had some really good fortune. I've done some really neat projects around Yosemite and Mariposa. And as
Where
Bob
can
mentioned.
people see some of this stuff? Let's talk about this one right here.
Okay. Well, we got a different picture
Well,
of it.
there's a picture of the church up there, and we could talk about that as we go on. But I want people to talk about things that they can go see, like this. This right here
Well-
looks like something out of a movie,
Well, thank you. Yeah,
and
that's.
it probably has been in a movie.
Yeah, I
or
think
two.
it's been in a couple actually.
Right.
But that's the bar at the Tenaya Lodge near Yosemite. And what the biggest feature of that bar is the 4 sculptured Indians that hold up or appear to hold up the pediment in the back. They're actual characters out of history. Did a little bit of research before I did them, and I picked actual people, 3 of which are Eastern Indians, and 1 is a California Indian, and that's Chief Tenaya, who they named the building after. So, but anyway, that was the most fun of the project, and that's what sold that project to the management. It was a Marriott.
Because you had to present your idea to
That's right.
them,
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
And they picked yours.
They
That's
picked
quite
it.
an honor.
It was an honor, and it was. And I think the reason was when the renderings came to me for consideration, they had Corinthian columns where I have the Indians. And I thought to myself, well, now, this doesn't fit. So I just sketched those Indians in place of the Corinthian columns, and I faxed that off. At the time, it was a fax that we used. And got a call from the president of Marriott the next day. So he liked the idea.
Amazing.
But a little funny story about that. He said, he says, I like 3 of those Indians, but 1, I don't care for him. And that was Chief Tenaya. So I had to inform him, that's who you named your $35 million project after. So, oh, I guess we better keep him.
Now, what about some things out of the area that you've done?
Well, as a result of some of these bigger projects that are, what I'd call local, that is within a 100-mile radius, they're international places. So consequently, we get a lot of clients that see those projects, ask who did them, and I get a call.
So you get these calls randomly.
And they are
For
random.
people
and they're
around the world.
They always come at the right time, too. It's kind of neat. Yeah, it's mostly the United States, but I have a few things elsewhere in other countries. But yeah, I've got work in New York and all over the place, so it's kind of neat.
You got anything you're working on now?
Yeah, I got a few projects, yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm doing a sculpture and another painting and just some cabinets for a nice house.
So when you say painting,
Well, that's where I started out. When I went to college, I was an art major, so I started out as a painter and had the good fortune to apprentice under an international sculptor, and that's kind of where I picked up a lot of this.
you're
I
quite
guess.
the Renaissance man,
Well,
aren't you?
I don't know.
You do a lot of things.
Yeah,
Now,
keep it versatile,
you have a studio, gallery, have anything up
I
in
don't
there?
have a gallery per se. I use the
You have a
internet.
studio
for-
that's open for people to come
Not
in?
really. I'm a pretty shy guy in there.
He
I,
doesn't even let me come over.
I do
I
to
have-
visit, but
the gate is locked, I have to stand outside and throw rocks at the window.
What do you do up in Mariposa when you're not doing this kind of stuff?
just enjoy
He,
life.
he hangs out at the coin,
Well, now.
keeping his sculpture alive.
That's true.
We have one of his kinetic art pieces in our establishment, and it attracts. This is the second one. They attract a lot of attention, and it's an aspect of his art that I don't think we really have any pictures of here.
Talk about kinetic art. What is?
Yeah. Well, to me, that's really, believe it or not, my best release. Just because there's no parameters. And the kinetic, what that means is there's movement involved and there's light involved. And in a nutshell, they're basically a real nice cabinet with something going on in the middle. I wish we did have a picture of one here. I got one in the book.
I think I
Probably
did.
won't
I
show,
know
yeah.
exactly which one you're talking about. Now, the book.
Well,
The book, is this book available? Can
Yeah.
people buy this book?
Yeah,
Where
they
at?
can, but it's mostly a tool for my work. It's not in a bookstore per se, so I have to order them, but it's mostly for work. It's not.
It's a very nice book.
Thank you.
The things that you've done
Thank you.
are hard for a man like me that is
No.
not good with the tools. It's hard for me
Yeah,
to even
thank you.
imagine.
I appreciate that. That's
It's a great way to do the work and the art and mix it all together, isn't it?
And when people come to town this weekend, and we have a lot going on this weekend, but when they come to town, they're gonna be able to see Sal's art firsthand, and it's all over our town. And if you come into the Coin, there'll be a piece of his kinetic art with one of his cards, so that if you're interested, if you're building a home and you want to do some custom types of
That's nice.
wood sculpture, I mean, this is real art, as you can see, and what he does with respect to people's home and even remodeling projects is amazing. But, you know, we have a little entertainment going on. Cottonwood Creek will be playing Friday night, and Saturday night we have Mike Hall and the Lavios Brothers, our country western band, the only country western band in the entire United States with a Juilliard-style
Oh, wow.
keyboardist. Juilliard's a famous music school for people who are not aware of that.
If you don't believe Bob, Google it.
And it's the only country western band with a cellist.
With the what?
A cellist.
A cellist.
Cellist.
A
I was
cellist.
going to say, Celeste's sitting over there.
All right. Well, Sal, thanks a lot for
Thank
coming
you for
by. It was
having me
great
on.
talking to you. I can't
Likewise.
wait to see more of your work.
And our commercial break?
Don't you worry,
It's
Bob.
all about Mariposa. And there's somebody on that commercial that I'd like to draw people's attention to.
Who is it? You?
No.
No. I'll tell you, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we're not going far. We're going to stay in Mariposa on the commercial break, and when we come back, more Mariposa. Stick around.